So if you were following me before, so you probably know that that's my second tape. And then I'm very sorry about that. Look, what happened is I did the first one and I looked at that. It was horrible actually. And I forgot to say a couple of key things. And I thought, nah, there's no way for me. I'm just gonna leave it like that. And I had to shoot it again. And what I was saying is actually I started by saying that as you may or may not know, but I received a gift not long ago. That was from Google because I worked with them on a solar masterclass, and it was this magnificent plant, and we installed in one of the corner of our house, in the living room. And turns out that my son loves it, and he loves plant, right? He loves to actually water plant because usually when we have a plant, so he's the one who is doing it. And recently he came to me and said, "Oh, listen, Dad, I've not been doing it for ages, for a little while. And look at the plant. It's kind of it's not looking great." I said, "Well, listen, this is your job. You have to do it." And obviously he did it, right? And the plant is still there. It's still living. But it just got me thinking a little bit, right? And I was saying like, okay, let's go back a little bit to our science days. For some of you remember. So what do you need when you have a plant for the plant to survive? You need two things, right? So you need light and you need water, right? To water, we know that we need to water the plant. And I'm sure you heard it sometime that you need to install your plant somewhere where there is light so it can absorb light. But what is it for? It's simply because the plant will use the light, right, to will use the light as energy to create or like say, to activate trigger this phenomenon that we call photosynthesis. And with the photosynthesis, it's nothing but using the CO2 that the plant absorb just to make food for plants. Yeah. So that's what it's all about. I just kept it very simple. And as the plant would do it, create organic compound for the plant, that's good. And then as an output, you're gonna have at the end of it some water, but also some oxygen, and oxygen that all of us are using. It just got me thinking, water is so essential, definitely essential. Light, we all know about that already. That light is linked to energy, and energy, I'm talking about that on a regular basis. But water is so essential, so vital for every species. It just got me thinking, right? With everything, all the changes happening in the world. So what's gonna happen to our water resources? How is it impacted? So that's why I get the idea. Say, hey, why not doing a video talking about the 5 key trends that are impacting our water resources and also our water security? And that's what we're gonna talk about. And in case you don't know me yet, my name is Tony Teo. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Renewables in Africa. This is your Africa clean energy champion. And why is it clean energy champion? Simply because what we do is to demystify the renewable energy sector for you. Isn't it interesting? That's great because if you are an investor, right, and you're thinking about investing into a continent, right? So, but you don't have the right information. Well, what we're saying is actually with all the different topics that we're doing here, you can look at all the videos that we've done before. You find some that are very useful for you. Absolutely. And also, if you are a business, right, you're thinking of turning your company into a sustainable business, you also will find information that are useful for you. Yeah, definitely. And finally, if you're a professional, a little bit like what I was, 10 years, 10, 12 years ago in another sector, and I was looking to jump into renewables energy. I didn't know how to do it. Again, with all the different topics that we're talking about, so you're definitely going to find information that are relevant to you. But also, if you look carefully as well, you will see that we have one or two courses that may be useful for you. So the one thing that you have to do just right now, if you haven't done it yet, is just to subscribe. Cost you nothing. You get information for free. So subscribe to our channel and also share the message with people around you. Absolutely. And feel free to leave a comment. That'd be great as well. And the great thing is I'm using a platform where I'm able to showcase this live on 3 platforms. Yes, I have the YouTube channel. Yes, but we also have LinkedIn Live now, which is great. And I'm just also broadcasting through my Facebook account, my private one. And that's the first time I'm doing it actually. So I don't know how it's gonna be. I don't know how people are gonna react. I don't know. You let me know. But I thought I'll share that with you, right? But what we're going to talk about today, it's the 5 global trends that are impacting water resources. Is that okay with you? Great. Have you signed up already? Have you clicked? Yeah. Have you shared with people that you know? Not yet. You have to do it. But let me share those 5 global trends with you. Okay, I'm just gonna share my screen. That's where I actually messed up early on before. Hopefully this time it's not be the case. So let me see. I just want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. Okay, I share. That's it. Let's go share, Tony. Hey, I think now we can see. Okay, so let's talk about the 5 global trends that are affecting the water security. So I'm just going to move with the first one, and I believe you can see, right? I think you can see. So the first one I will talk about it's water that it's being impacted by climate change, and I'm sure it's not a surprise for you because you must know that most of the effect of climate change, one way or another, are related to water, right? So the change in climate will affect the agricultural production, and that will contribute as well to sea level rise. That's what, for example, we're seeing in the picture, right? You can see that is creating big damages. It's wreaking havoc all around, right? So you can see uh, streets are flooded. People don't know where to go. Yeah. So that's what climate change is doing. Yeah, it's rising sea levels, but also that will trigger wildfire, and also that will bring about drought, and also, as I mentioned, a flood event. And one thing you may want to know is like at the moment there's 7 billion of us, and basically, it's been forecast that by 2050, half of the population will live within 200 kilometers from a coast. So you can imagine when we're having those floods. So how many people are going to be affected? Half the world population. By 2050, it's going to be 9 billion. So there'll be 4.5 billion people going to be impacted by potential floods. So that's quite significant. So you can imagine that clearly has an impact on the water security. So now let me move into the second element that is having a big impact on the water. And what I want to talk to you about, it's agricultural, right? So hopefully now you can also see. Oh, let me see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can also see now for the agricultural. So, and what is that we can say about agricultural? Well, simply that the as I mentioned that according to the UN, the world population is meant to be reaching 9 billion by 2050. And to make sure that there is enough food for everyone, it is estimated that the global food production needs to be increased by 70%, and that's huge. So it means that you need to have a lot more arable lands, you know, to produce crop production. And you need to have a lot more extensive and efficient irrigation. So this is where you need water. So as you can imagine, that's another big challenge that we need to have, because that would challenge the resources, but also the ecosystem that we have. So if you imagine that 9 billion people that will need to be fed, right? And all of that, you can do that if you don't have food, and you won't have food if you don't have enough water resources. You can already imagine how there's going to be a big fight for water, right? And that's the second element that I can talk to you about. So now let's move on to the third elements. Yeah, the third global trend. And the third global trend that you can see here, it's what I call we will need to be, treating and reusing more and more water. Very, very important, because what's happening traditionally, right? So we will normally plan, design, and operate water in a kind of a linear way, right? If I may say so like that. So water is extracted, yeah, from the source. And then it also is checked for the quality to make sure that we have good quality water. And then it is used as intended. And then we will sort of treat that and discharge it. However, the thing is, Wastewater and sludge water, as we call, usually we have some valuable resources, like for example, nitrogen, phosphorus, energy, and other nutrients. And basically, what we're saying is because there's going to be a lot more people in the planet, for example, right? We need to find a way whereby we can use more efficiently this water, right? That's very important. We should not be having a system that is linear as we just have right now. In just more, it just needs to be a little bit more circular, and that's what, for example, you heard about the circular economy. Hopefully, that makes sense for you. So let me move into the fourth element, the fourth trend, which we believe we have also a big impact, and this is the urbanization, right? So the world population, it's growing. I mentioned that at least 2 or 3 times. We could have 9 billion. I mentioned that as well. But what we also need to know is a bigger proportion of this population will live around cities. If I take, for example, the African continent, right? So in 2015, as you can see, for example, on the graph, right, we had more than half a billion people that were living around cities, urban areas. Yeah. And by 2019, that figure was about 40% of the 1.1 billion people that we had. And in fact, still the stats, from the UN and various organizations is saying that by 2050, it's not going to be anymore 40% people living around urban areas, but 60%, right? A lot more. So you can imagine that. So that means with this number comes the need that are associated with urban agglomerations, right? You can think about water supply, you can think about water for sanitation, you can think about, water for industry and so on and so forth. So it's going to be a big fight. And the other thing to understand is that most of the time, when we look at the water resource in the continent of Africa, for example, and the same across the world as well. So, if you take, for example, the Volta River basin, right, and even the Lake Victoria, usually they are they are border or they are bordered by many countries at the same time, many communities, and you can imagine each of those communities will need to sort of draw on this resource to sort of meet their own need. And because all needs are necessarily the same, they're not necessarily, how can I say that, well aligned. You can imagine where the big fight that is gonna be. So that's why it would need to be dealt with a lot of care. So urbanization is a big, big, big area to look at. Absolutely. So let me now move into the last global trend that I see, and it's the use of technology for water, because as I mentioned, at the moment some of the processes used could be a little bit old fashioned, but with technology, for example, like drones, as you can see on the picture. So what is that we have? Right? You can deploy drone in areas in order for you to capture the data that you need in order to properly design system that needs to go into this region, right? And that's a fantastic use. So I'm saying the more we're gonna have a huge demand of water, the more I can see people using those resources to make sure that they can design accurate responses to the challenges and solution or and issues that we're having. And this is what we're going to have. So those are the global trend that I see for the water. So I'm just going to summarize that for you, just to make sure that you fully understood it. So first of all, what did I say? I said that there are 5 key areas where we clearly can see um, uh, big trend for water. So I talked about the climate change, right? So tackling climate change will be a big issue, and that will definitely have a big impact on the water resources, because, as I mentioned, by 2050, we're going to have half of the population living by 200 kilometers from the coast, right? So it's very, very important. I also talk about the agricultural production, because with 9 billion in 2050, yeah, we need 70% more food in order to feed everybody. So that's a huge amount. So you need to have efficient equipment in place to be able to properly irrigate lands, right? And create more arable land in order to be able to produce what is needed to feed everybody. And also talked about the treatment and the recycling of water, right? Because at the moment you were using a linear system whereby it is extracted, it is treated, it is transformed, it is used, and then it's recycled, and not necessarily done in an optimal way. So instead of having the linear process, we should have a circular one, yeah, tapping into the circular economy. And I talked about the urbanization, the fact that the population is growing, but more of these people are living in around cities. And I say, for example, in Africa, there's going to be 60% of people living in cities by 2050. So it's very important because that comes with huge needs. And I finished off by mentioning the smart technology that would need to be used, right? And that again is going to be impacting significantly the water industry. And I took example, for example, for drones, but there are more. For example, instead of having uh, normal traditional groundwater pump, you can have solar water pump. Yeah, so that's a technology that you will have, and these are the different technology I'm talking about. And the great thing is, you may want to know more about that. So I absolutely will recommend and advise you to do some research on that. On my case, just to share a couple of things, just for people that may be are interested, I'm actually going tomorrow to an event, which is, let me just share that. Oh yeah, I can share that right now. Yeah, so it's going to be the Africa Gua Canarias 2021. So starting Tuesday and Wednesday, it's going to be in Canary Island. So I'm just flying over there tomorrow because we're going to be talking about for 2 days water resources and renewables energies, and especially for 8 countries in African continent. So what is the plans? What are the projects in place? And how do we finance that? Yeah, and I strongly will advise all of you to attend if you can, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna be able to attend for free because it's a free event. So I absolutely will want to invite you to attend this. So let me drop the link right now, just in case some of you may be interested. So let me see if I have the link. Yes, that's the registration link over there, right? So if you attend, definitely go there. You subscribe it. You can attend virtually. You can attend in person if you're able to fly over there. Why not? And for 2 days, we're going to be talking a lot about that. So let me share again the link if the flyer if you haven't seen that just yet. Yeah, that's what I'm sharing here. And yeah, so yes, this is what we're gonna have. So I'm hoping that you have enjoyed today's video and then you've learned a lot. So this time round, I'm sure I haven't made any silly mistake, and I was able to show what I wanted to show. So yeah. So what about you? Just tell me from your side. You've learned about water resources. What is that you're gonna do to make sure that you can preserve water for the future generations? So what is it gonna do to make sure that you don't waste unnecessarily the water, right? You have to tell me. You can drop your comments, and that'd be great to look at that, and you can tell us, what is that you think? Was it useful? Was it not useful? I like to know, right? So this is Tony Teo from Renewables in Africa. So you have a beautiful Sunday, and all that is left for me to say is, may the sun be with you and think green. Bye.